and welcome to today's session on tech-enabled CSR, AI, data, and digital tools for monitoring and impact tracking, primarily for sustainability and CSR. Now, across the CSR ecosystem today, organizations are managing complex programs across multiple geographies, partners, and communities at scale. Technology is increasingly playing a crucial role in helping organizations improve transparency, strengthening monitoring systems, and most importantly, understand the real impact of their work. Today's discussion will explore how digital tools, data systems, and collaborative platforms are helping CSR teams make better decisions and deliver stronger outcomes for communities. And I'm delighted to be joined by two absolutely amazing leaders who are actively driving such initiatives in their respective organizations. I'm so glad to introduce the two speakers here on the panel today. Neha Soneji, the Program Director for Child Development and the Ability Network at Tech Mahindra Foundation, where she leads innovative education and inclusive programs that reach government and special schools across India at scale. Originally trained as an instrumentation engineer and former software professional, Neha transitioned into the social sector through Teach for India Fellowship, driven by a deep commitment to equitable education. And today, Neha focuses on strengthening learning outcomes, integrating mental health and social emotional learning in the classrooms, and building collaborative digital ecosystems like the Ability Network to expand opportunities for persons with disabilities. Thank you so much, Neha, for joining us. And the next professional, the next leader on the panel is Mr. Ameet Rele, who is the Vice President for Communications and CSR at Nuvoco Vistas Corporation Limited, where Ameet leads purpose-driven initiatives that connects business strategy with community impact. With over 2 decades of leadership across global organizations like Bosch India, like Siemens, Ameet has built a strong reputation for combining corporate storytelling with meaningful social transformation. At Nuvoco, Ameet oversees CSR programs across healthcare, across education, livelihood, and environmental sustainability, creating a long-term impact in communities around the company's operations while championing the role of technology, transparency, and data-driven decision making. I would like to thank you, Ameet and Neha, for joining us on the panel today. I'm pretty sure that we will learn a lot from the experiences of both of you and how technology integration can really help, or whether it can really help the CSR operations at scale in India or not. Um, with the introduction, I would love to pick your brains, Neha and Ameet, on one specific question that I'd like to ask both of you parallelly. And this is a very fundamental, very short question, but a very fundamental question before even we start the panel. Both of you have worked extensively on CSR programs that operate at scale and involve multiple stakeholders. Amit, Neha, I would love to understand from you that considering the CSR function is primarily a function of human touch, do you think that is it even required to involve technology in the CSR functions? A short answer would be appreciated. Over to you.
Okay, thanks, Neha. I short answer, if you ask, the answer is yes. I think technology, when we are speaking today, is touching all facets of life. And when we are talking of life in general, I think we speak largely of the social enablements in life and connecting dots back to when we used to go to our childhood. I think the first lesson we used to learn, the chapter used to clearly say that man is a social animal. So you talk of society, you talk of social, and you talk of technology. So it is imperative that technology is becoming part of our social life with each passing day. And it is also important to understand how technology can make a positive impact, not just by giving us new rays and new outcomes, but also by helping us to take preventive measures as to what we need to do for all. So I think it has both aspects, which is touching how we can do it, what we can do, and also why we should do. It will touch all these three aspects. That's in short.
Thank you, Amit. That says a lot. Neha, over to you. Would love to listen to your
Yes,
bit as well.
yes. Couldn't agree more with Amit. I think, when I entered the CSR space almost 10 years back, Ayush and Amit, I did sense, and even I myself was not sure of digital tools, technology, and I did sense that in development sector, CSOs, NGOs that we are working with. And I think data is being now very, very critically being looked into by all the stakeholders, government, NGOs, CSRs, and technology is playing a huge role in, kind of us letting off those fears and using technology to the betterment of it. One example that I can share is that almost 10 years back, we were doing our whole project proposals through emails and in, ways where we were just doing it on paper and through emails. And we designed a project management system for our partner organizations almost 5, 6 years back. And now we see, even for us and even for our partners, the entire process has become a way more convenient because all the back and forth, the approvals are happening through a digital system. So just wanted to share that how technology helped. And also, Ayush, to your question about the human element, I'm sure we'll get a opportunity to talk more about that in other questions, but that is key. It has to be human-centric technology. That's how I foresee. Thanks.
So good to hear about such great wisdom from especially leaders like yourself, that technology, now that it has become part of our lives, it should also become part of the CSR operations at the same time, because unlike every other function in a corporate, CSR is a function of human touch, and that's the beauty of it. Great to hear the thoughts from both of you. I'd love to ask you, Neha, about something specific around the kind of work, the amazing work that you've been doing. You work closely on education programs and initiative like the Ability Network, which connects persons with disabilities, caregivers, service providers through a digital ecosystem, like you rightly mentioned. Now, how do you think that digital platforms like this change the way CSR programs reach and support the vulnerable communities?
Right. So, if I were to talk about just the scale of at least the whole disability ecosystem, according to 2011 census, which was almost now 15 years back, there were around 2 crore persons with disabilities in India. And currently, the estimates are anywhere between, that was around 2%. Currently, the estimates are anywhere between 6 to 8%, which might be 60 to 80 million or even more. Now, that is the kind of scale that we're talking about. So, if we have to reach out to persons with disability and solve the discovery issue, so, a lot of times parents and caregivers and PWDs, they find it very tough to look for solutions around their area of residence, right? Whether it's a school, therapy center, skilling center, government schemes, sometimes they have to run pillar to post to be able to, get that information. And we are saying that we want to solve discovery for that scale, 60 to 80 million. And I think there's no other way, apart from a strong tech infrastructure, that we can even attempt to address this problem. So that's how the whole Ability Network idea started almost 1.5, 2 years back. We launched it at Rashtrapati Bhavan last year during the Purple Fest. And the idea is fairly simple, that we get solution providers on one side and solution seekers on the other side and enable discovery through AI-enabled technology, chatbots, IVRS, web portals, mobile apps, you say, and because even the PWDs that we are talking about, right? Scale is one thing, that is 60 to 80 million, but the reach is also in different parts of the country, right? Some of them is city-based, but some might be rural, where we don't know if WhatsApp or mobile and internet is still reached, right? There's places where they might not be. So to address both scale and reach, there are different aspects of technology that are required. Not everything can be AI enabled and not everything can be, an automated system. So we have to find what works in a specific geography and to what extent you can try technology over there. So I think this is one example that we are using to enable existing government systems. We are working very closely with the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities and other NGOs in the sector who come with deep expertise in the disability space. And we're trying to see how to build this ecosystem together, provided we have a solid tech infrastructure as the backbone, which we are already kind of riding on to make this project a success. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Neha. That's actually a really interesting perspective and one of the use cases of deep technologies that is discovery. You emphasized so much on it. And definitely one of the major need of the hour, which is how do we use technology for discovery. Bringing on that, I'd love to hear Ameet's version, Ameet's side on another use case of technology, that is monitoring and evaluation. Ameet, Nuvoco runs CSR initiatives across areas like education, healthcare, livelihood, environmental sustainability in communities around its plant locations primarily, and then other locations as well. How do you think technology has helped your team monitor programs across geographically dispersed sites and ensure consistent impact all through?
Yeah, thanks. Ayush, the point here is, just getting some larger perspective at an bird eye view right now. I come from an industry which is from a construction and a building material industry. Yeah. And today, if you see India, I think construction has a very large contribution to the GDP of the country, almost more than 8%, we can say. If you also look at the workforce, yeah, after agriculture, if there is anybody who is engaged in a blue collar workforce in this country, it becomes to be construction. So a large part of people are working in a construction industry and getting their daily livelihoods. Yeah, so if you ask in terms of exposure, the entire industry has a very large exposure and also is looking to grow because India is looking to grow. There are a lot of, we are hungry for infrastructure, and there's a lot of potential here in terms of not just tracking the projects, but also enabling people so that they can come into the mainstream society. Yeah. So at Nuvoco, I think that's been our primary objective. We want to add more and more people to the mainstream society by making them as economically stronger as possible. So majority of the work that we try to do is we try to make them enabling or programs that enable them to foster better incomes for them and their families. And that's why skilling becomes one of our important domain. So while we work across, I think skill is one area that we are inclined to work more strongly. And one such case we could easily talk about is our leading program like Nuvo Mason. So Nuvo is the Nuvoco part and Mason is masonry because that's how we identify with. And here we have large scale deployments with NSDC framework where we are trying to train people and try to enable them to come into the workforce. Now, how do we do that? I think when you talk of Mason guys, they are the least educated of the lot. Anybody from a fifth standard bare minimum to even we have seen people with graduation joining this program due to lack of employments. And the best way is how do you keep them in the system? So a very small change like an QR code card, okay? A simple QR code card which we give them, which talks about when have they completed their official program, what is their information in terms of their Aadhaar number, their PAN card number, and all these details just combined into a small QR code. Whenever they go to any government sites where they are being approved masons they need, just scan this and all your data will come into the system and you will get into a job. You don't have to go searching for your documents or even carrying physical copies. I think this inspiration is something we got from the UPI model where you have a small UPI card. If you look at even autos in Mumbai, they would carry a small UPI cards with them for payments or stick it behind their mobile phones. Scan this. This is all about me, know me, and put me on a job. These could be small elements. If we are looking at elements, then there are also elements which we could integrate there into their own study materials. Yeah. So for example, if we are today talking about the textbooks that are coming to us, if we are talking
Yes,
about the
Amit.
textbooks and the other materials that are coming to us, then what we try to do is we try to give practical lessons. So we are trying to put this practical lessons and form of a digital book so that whenever they are free, they can simply try to look into their mobile phones and understand how they are supposed to have a practical lesson, even if they get stuck outside the course program. So we are trying to do this along with our implementation partners and enable, because if you look at statistics and data today, what is going up is more is the voice search. What is going up is more is voice trainings. Everybody may not need know how to type, but today people just are using voice enabled search engines so that they can get more and more informations. So by integrating voice searches, by integrating data, by integrating points which are related to their own training, it is getting, and their own identity, it is getting more and more helpful for them to secure their incomes and also to add value to the work that they do. Yeah, so this is how I think the entire framework works in a construction. We also have large programs which we run in education. And needless to say, a black swan event like COVID got a huge change in the entire education system in this country. So when we are talking about digital enablement in education, there are large schools that we partner with for digitalizing the education programs that we have. We work very closely with digital modules. We try to give them more and more modules, and we face very unique problems sometimes, where students are more than eager to learn, but teachers are sometimes having problems. How do you adapt to these digital modules? So we are also trying to train the teachers to help them understand how do they use digital and digital technology so that they can help the next generation better. India is definitely a country, we are all early adopters. Globally, if there is any app that is to be launched, it particularly they see for launch in India, because in India, we are all early adapters of technology. And that I think somewhere rides among us. And the more we use technology, the more we will be able to benefit for this and derive more implementing help for our programs and also evaluation for our programs. So I think this is how it is going to help us.
Great. Thank you so much, Ameet. You actually touched on something very important, not just around monitoring, but around enablement, overall enablement, around discovery as well with the QR code model that you had mentioned. Very similar to a different process, but very similar outcome that Neha also spoke about. You spoke about education at large because of digital education, and a key challenge with technology in any part of the world, which is adaptability. How do we even though we are early adopters, but how do we get adoption of technology, even with the teachers that we're talking about or any other stakeholder? Um, Neha, I would love to explore a bit through you as well around tracking, around monitoring, because that's one of the key use cases of technology that we have seen in the recent times, apart from discovery being one of the use cases that both of you mentioned. So, Neha, mental health and social emotional learning are increasingly becoming part of the education programs that you are running that are globally accepted as well. How do you think technology help measure and track outcomes in areas that are traditionally considered difficult to quantify? These are very qualitative nature, in nature. How do you measure them, quantify them to, uh, track them the right way?
Right. Right, Ayush. Thank you. Thank you for the very important question. And I just want to pick up from where Amit left about the whole digital enablement also before I answer your question, Ayush. I think that's very, very important that, he mentioned about teachers and students, but in our work, through our learning and development team, we are also enabling our partner ecosystems to start using digital tools, especially AI. We are encouraging the use of AI. We are doing it ourselves internally within the team. It took me some time to kind of, okay, ChatGPT is here, Gemini is here. There's so much happening. Let's try and use them to see how we can better make that presentation or a social media post, whatever it is, right? And I think for the NGO ecosystem, where there are already issues with verticals, fund crunch, and all of that, I think it becomes a great enabler for them is some of these tools that we can train them on. So how to use AI for fundraising, how to use AI for communications, how to use AI. It's just about prompt engineering. How do you use those prompts to get the outcome? So I think this enablement that Amit also spoke about is very, very important. That we as CSR organizations don't keep it to ourselves, but we're also enabling um, beneficiary teachers, students, partner organizations with some of these tools and being okay also, right? I mean, let's be okay with the fact that, okay, this report that has been submitted the monitoring report or the report that has been submitted probably has some AI components. Let's be okay with that. And that's why we have to train individuals that how do you put those disclaimers? How do you still use your own insights into these reports that even if it's generated by AI, what are some of the finishing touches that you are giving it that is personalizing and all of that? So that was one part. Coming to monitoring and mental health, right? Monitoring, I think, as I said, reports, data generation, use of data. I think some of these things we are trying to see how we can use digital tools and technology. Comes at a cost, I agree, and we are still kind of finding our feet as to how do we balance this out. So that's one. Coming to mental health and the quantifying data for some of these parameters. On mental health, before that, Aisha, I want to mention that even I had those fears that once you start using Chat GPT or something else, you get so used to it. Are we all going to lose that sense of our own unique skills and individuality, right? And I think that that's where we have to learn to draw the line that, okay, I've used digital tools and AI for these things in my work. How can I then put a full stop to it and kind of, work on it, complementing my skills and not replacing my skills or my time completely trying AI, right? So I think that mental health versus that balance that we need to, right? We can't get swayed away completely saying, wow, this is so cool. I'll just use AI and not do any of the work. So I think that there's a fine balance which we as leaders need to identify and train our teams and others to be able to identify for themselves. And you're right, Ayush, a lot of parameters. So I was at the AI summit and one of the organizations was showing um, um, an AI tool for coaching women leaders, right? Because as we know, women, as they move up the ladder, there are a lot of challenges, and there are not a lot of women right up to the top board members or CEOs, CXO positions. And they are enabling coaching for women. Now, coaching in itself as a human being is a tough job, right? It's not an easy thing. And they were using this whole thing to personalize the experience through an AI agent. So I think that we are really trying, a lot of different things with mental health and social emotional learning also. But being mindful that, there is to a certain extent that we can go and the human element still needs to be there. But as you rightly said that, for example, I know of one of this organization, they have created this app which tells about the emotions of a person in the morning and especially our students and in the evening, and then the teachers can reach out to them knowing that okay, this person or this child feels a little low today, maybe we can do something differently for the child, right? So such great things. We never had those vocabulary or articulation to kind of tell our teachers that, oh, I'm feeling sad today, or perhaps I'm feeling overwhelmed, but now we have apps doing that for us, right? Which is so cool. So I think that um, technology is definitely, has that edge to help us complement our skills, but we will need to have the right mindsets to able to know how far we want to go and, take that step back when needed and actually be there when a child needs counseling rather than other way around. So,
Thank you so much, Neha. That's actually a very, very powerful point. And on the same lines as Ameet also rightly mentioned, that the right adaptability, and this also, of course, like you rightly mentioned, it comes under adaptability, that how do we look at artificial intelligence as an enabler for us and for the communities rather than replacement for us and the communities. I mean, that's actually a very, very beautiful point. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, Neha. I mean, over to you. You mentioned very strongly about one of the beautiful missions that you run, that is the Nuvoco Mission Skill Development Program, that trains youth from nearby villages and aligns with the national certification standards as well through the QR code model and others. I mean, when implementing skill programs like Nuvo Mason skill development program, how do you think technology and digital tools help track outcomes such as employability or long-term livelihood improvement? The development outcomes which usually are very difficult to track through conventional means. If you use the tools, how do you think we can leverage these technologies, the deep technologies, to do that long-term tracking also?
Yeah, so thanks for this. I think AI and technology, if we are talking today, it is basically linked to a data lake. So the more and more data is available, the more and more technology will help you to predict right outcomes, yeah, or to plan how you want to do ahead. So I think the first step for unorganized workforce and to bring that predictability is to create a data lake. And I think this is something that all of us have to work very strong to create this data point. So what we are starting doing right now is we are creating data lakes of what programs are we running and doing impact assessments and trying to understand what is the existing impact that we have achieved from these programs. The best way of doing that is to be in touch with your own, if you could call them blue collar alumni, and try to show and try to understand as how they have progressed in life after such training programs. Like one of the graduations we have gone in a Neo Mason program is the guys have gone ahead and some of them and have graduated from being a mason to a contractor, and thereby they have increased their shares of income. Yeah, they are taking more and more jobs. Their entrepreneurial skills are coming forward and they are taking more and more people under them and they are starting to work. So this is where, so what we do is even after we have done this programs, we are organizing frequent gatherings and then we are creating these data lakes to understand how are these guys progressing in life, how are progressing in life. Once this data has been established, and now that we have been running program for more than 2 years and we have some amount of data and progression to show, it is only then we can put our probabilities, we can put our main medians and to place and understand that what kind of skill set is going into what area and what kind of employments are they getting, and finally how much will it enhance their earning on monthly basis. And then it gives us an ability to recommend them finally that, hey, your skill is at this level. Why don't you take this is the best suited skill for you so that you go at the next level in your career. Yeah. Now, this cannot happen by AI alone. Of course, there has to be a lot of soft skill orientation. There has to be an understanding in terms of individual aspirations. So, a lot of things happen over there because at the end, what is an end objective of any CSR program? It is basically to enhance the quality of living. At least at Nuvoco, we very strongly believe in that. And that's how we try to work upon. So, it is both predictive and prescriptive when we try to use AI in our approach to tell people, to tell our own beneficiaries how they can go on progression. I'll just take a minute more to give you a very interesting example of how AI can make give you fame and as well as it gives you fear. So in one of our schools, when we had an assignments, a classic case of a students where they were given a certain assignment where they went back their homes, probably used smartphones of their parents, got back with some answers, felt very happy that I was given an assignment. I wrote an answer and I came back to the school. Next day, when I come back, out of the 50 class, teacher discovers that almost 25 of them have identical answers. And whatever your point was at a fame instantly became fear. Okay. The same way it impacted, like how Neha spoke on the mental health, it immediately impacted the child. How did that happen? I was expecting I was going to be the best in the class. I just realized I'm just like everybody. There's nothing special. So from fame, it's become a fear. So I think it's AI has to be an way or a mean to get information. But finally, as Neha rightly mentioned, you will need to customize that to your needs. Otherwise, it is going to be chaotic with each passing day. Yeah. Today, everybody is questioning AI as to the first question I think everybody is today asking AI is, do I have my job in the future? Is AI going to take my job? There's still a very long way, of course, for a social sector to come into it because I think most of it still goes into the skill domain. and into the hardship and into the physical layer. So I believe any social skill program has still a very long way to go, and it will still need not just AI but also robotics if somebody had to do it. But India being a laborious country, I don't think that is going to happen very fast, but still. But we have to be watchful. We have to adapt to it. And as you rightly mentioned, adapt and adopt is the only balance that we can use when we have to do with AI. Yeah. So this is where I believe is the balance of achieving objectives and also balance of using tech. Yeah. Apart from that, there is AI used into many other programs. Like I believe there are ample softwares available in market today that tell you on predictives of your CSR investments. It talks about where you have to invest, what is giving you bang for the buck. But that's, I think, a very low hanging fruit, and most of us will be using it by now. So that's all
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very beautifully said, Ameet. Actually, the sequence that you mentioned about quantifying the development outcome, starting from creating the right data lakes, creating the right metadata, then going into predictive and prescriptive analytics of that data, and then using all that analysis for recommendations. This is actually, you're right, it is low hanging at this point, but adapting to it already, this, the kind of leaders like yourself, like Neha, and other leaders who are doing it are actually, it's a commendable effort, because at least you've started using the data for the right recommendations, for the right predictions of the future. Because at the end of the day, like you rightly mentioned, it affects quality of life, and how are we using this technology to improve the quality of life, is anyway a commendable effort. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts there, Amit. Neha, I know that I've asked a lot of questions to you, but this one is really important for the entire ecosystem, I'm pretty sure, because CSR as an ecosystem works on collaborative efforts, works on bringing everyone together at a junction. And Tech Mahindra Foundation is like another junction of sorts where it works with various different stakeholders. One of the key initiatives, Neha, that you work on, that you lead, is the Ability Network, which is designed as a collaborative ecosystem connecting non-profit organizations, service providers, government stakeholders, corporate stakeholders, and of course, beneficiaries. What role do you think that digital platforms play in building such large collaborative network in the social sector? Not just for the Ability Network, not just for this use case, but for other, CSR thematics as well.
Honestly, in my opinion, I'm not even sure what safe means anymore. Safety is a big question mark right now when it comes to the whole AI thing. I don't think I have an answer in terms of yes or no on that. But yes, you are not right. Not only generational Z users, trust me, all kind of generations are using AI for, we are all experimenting, I think. Um, but my personal take on it is I have been a little cautious. I have not yet started using AI for any personal queries or emotional support and things like that. But I do know and I do hear of cases, especially for adolescents and youth, where they kind of ask questions about, anxiety or depression or friendships and things like that. And sometimes the answers probably may not be what an adult or a leader would recommend. So the safety question is really a big question mark
Yeah,
even for me in terms of what AI, how safe it is or
yeah,
it's not. But I'm personally a little cautious when it comes personally. Your question, Ayush. When we started working on TAN, we were very clear that we wanted to be a collaborative. And we have seen that in the sector, right, in the development sector, in India at least, there are a lot of experts, very good organizations who have managed to do some great moving of the needle in their lifetime, in their lifespans in different regions, in different corners of the country, right? And with the disability ecosystem, we wanted to be more connected kind of, leadership that's happening instead of it being in silos. And I think that's when we thought that we wanted to be collaborative. Now, for something to be collaborative, for something, where you're getting the NGOs, the government, the PWDs themselves, the caregivers, whole lot of stakeholders together, um, there has to be some role that each one of them plays. So the collaboration and technology part go hand in hand. right? And I think that's, I mean, because it's not a human race versus AI race, but if we have to use technology meaningfully, we have to, as a human race, come together, right? We have to throw competition out of the window. I think innately we have been competitive because, of course, that's how evolution has been, survival of the fittest and all of that. But it's high time that when we are solving for the development sector, whether it's education, skilling, disability, agriculture, climate, collaboration is the only way. And India is a huge resource pool, as even Amit mentioned, right? With a lot of expertise, with a lot of resources that we have already created. So we are very clear that we as a CSR organization don't want to recreate the wheel. We don't want to do what already has been done. We want to be the enablers who are connecting one very good initiative happening, say, somewhere in Meghalaya to something great that's happening in Delhi. And how can these organizations, individuals connect and share each other's experiences and learn from each other's experiences without having to wait for that organization to come on a national footboard, right? So that's the whole idea behind collaboration. And then we see the role of technology as a great enabler to kind of, get the race going. So, yeah.
Amazing. That's actually very important. Neha, thank you for such the two contrasted answers. One is how do we really leverage technology for building on at the top of something which is already built, building with collaboration, not reinventing the wheel every time because that slows down everything in the economy. And on the other side, talking about the safety, potential safety concerns that comes with technology as an entire piece itself. I think because it resonates really well with every all of us because all of us are currently in the two sides about how we leverage technology because of whatever is coming and with such a fast pace that's coming towards us. So collaboration being one of the other use cases, Neha, that you've rightly mentioned, that's one of the key takeaways for me, and I'm sure for the audience as well. Over to you, Ameet. Would love to understand. We spoke about different programs. We spoke about how do you track, how do you monitor outcomes. Um, I mean, even Nuvoco CSR strategy spans across thematics, various multiple themes, including healthcare access, skill development that you rightly talked about, natural resource management. From a leadership perspective, Amit, what role do you think digital dashboards today and data analytics play in helping CSR leaders make faster and more informed decisions? Apart from what you rightly mentioned, that it gives us prediction, it gives us recommendations that is best used for the beneficiaries, but for leaders like yourself also, how do you think you use it, and how do you think the technology can be improved better for much better insights and outcomes?
Yeah, so I think it's important to first understand, a use of two terms, which often gets, intermingled. I think digitization and digitalization. These are two different terms that we have to use when we are doing our work as leaders. Yeah. A lot of human element that we can do, we are trying to convert it to a job that becomes digital. Probably that's where we are going into the digitization piece, and what exists, we are trying to make it more and more efficient. We can try to involve it. That's where we use the AI and the digitalization piece. The idea here is basically as leaders, not just to understand the information in advance, but also having it at fingertips, because that's what the expectation comes in from your top as well. Yeah, as CSR leaders, all of us have boards to report to. I think this is a very important element all over, because at the end of the day, it's a governance model. Right? It's ESG at end of the day, and its governance makes a very important part of the matrix. And this is where we come across and where it helps us. So we are not only talking here of impact, we are also talking of translating impact into numbers that can be put into a boardroom, which apparently not just tell a story, but also tell how the company and how the social indices of the company has evolved. So I think this is where your dashboards come very handy, because for somebody who is at a level who has not been exposed to the program and who believes in the trust and the processes that the company has laid, the digitization and the dashboards play an important role to tell your on ground story. What is happening on ground? Yeah. So I think this is where it's most important to have these processes in place. What happens after that is planning. Then we plan, we try to take corrective measures. It helps us to understand where we have to strengthen ourselves. It helps us to tell what we probably have to even stop or exit from if it is not bearing results. And also what we need to, increase our depth. So it gives us both the depth and the breadth of the activities that we have to get into, and finally figure out what could be the next strategy coming in, because we all have to understand that, as rightly mentioned around, the AI will make things more and more disruptive. It is not going to stay as calm as before. It's going to be volatile. Things will change at a very fast rate. Maybe the kind of skills that people will need in the future will change at a faster rate. If you are talking in terms of natural resource management, the utilization and optimization of the resources will help AI, or AI will help them to optimize these resources further. If you are talking of education, AI will help the students to understand their subjects better or to make right career choices. So every facet that we are talking about, health, of course, a lot of recommend. In fact, the first thing today I think people get after the medicine is they will ask Google and AI, how is this going to help me? Yeah, and what are they going to do about it? So medical is also something which AI needs to develop, and a lot of points AI will touch your day-to-day life. So technically, if you ask me, the boardroom will question you in terms of why you did it, but the beneficiaries will also start questioning you why I need to do it, because the trust on Google will be high and they will ask you, hey, Google is telling me maybe not this, maybe I should do that. And for that, they don't even need to type, they just have to communicate in voice.
Right.
So there will be a pull and push effect created. Digital dashboards will be your only explanation to convince both at the top and at the bottom that how you can narrate your story and what's getting more effective.
Yeah. That's actually a very, very strong point, and I'm sure the Ameet CSR leaders will resonate with this one. With this, I'd love to thank you, Ameet, Neha, for your insights. Just one very short answer from both of you that I'd love to have, because you are seasoned leaders yourselves who think from a much long-term visionary point of view. Hence, just this out of curiosity, this question keeps going on in my mind, and it'll be great to hear it from leaders like yourself. Um, from a creativity point, mindset, if we imagine CSR 5 years from now, what will define a truly tech-enabled CSR organization in one line or maybe in one phrase from both of you? Over to you, Ameet. I'd love to hear your thoughts. In just one phrase, where will CSR go with all the technology in place? What do you think?
Neha, you would like to take this?
Sure. I think, Irish, honestly, 5 years, given how fast things are changing, it's quite unimaginable what can be 5 years down the line. But I think a true tech-enabled CSR will make digital enablement a part of its CSR provisions. So when they support NGOs, when they support CSOs, when they work with governments, I think irrespective of the kind of parent CSR company that it is, the digital enablement that they will drive through their work will define how technologically enabled the CSR is. And I think we are going in that direction. So I do see a lot of investments not only monetary, but even in terms of resource investment going into technology for projects.
Thank you, Neha.
Yeah,
That's
from
actually true. Yeah. Yes,
yeah, from
Ameet.
my end, I'll just say, two words. These words are take care. It's just that the TAKE becomes TECH. Yeah. You need to handle your
That's really
tech with
creative.
care, and you handle to use tech to take care of the society around. So the phrase still remains, it's just that the spelling changes.
That's actually very creative, Ameet. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Neha. Ameet, we were really fortunate to have your time today to hear all these wonderful insights today from you. It is clear from this discussion that technology is more than a supporting tool, at least in the coming future. Like both Neha, you and Ameet, you mentioned that it is becoming a key enabler for lot of use cases in the sector, including discovery, including transparency, collaboration, adaptability, predictions, recommendations, strengthened governance, and of course, at the end of the day, improving quality of living, like we discussed during this session. At the same time, as both of you highlighted, technology works best when it strengthens human connections and community engagements. I would also like to thank everyone for organizing the team which organized this session. And thank you for Neha and Ameet to join us. We hope today's conversation offered useful perspective on how digital tools and data can really help shape the future of CSR for the audience who's going to look at this session later. Thank you all for being part of this discussion, and we look forward to continuing these conversations, discussions, and implementation of what comes after this one from the key takeaways in the future. Thank you, Neha. Thank you, Amy.